Hello, I'm here to speak blessings over your day, your week, your month, your year, your hour, your minute, your second. And we're going to talk about three things today: two Abraham concepts and one Neville. Be nice to yourself or be kind to yourself. Talk only about what you want. And we're going to finish off with the Neville concept, Be A Doer, which is from the power of awareness. So let's do this. Let's have some fun. So, because of how we were raised, because of society, only liking us when we do all the things right, only praising us when we're perfect, right? Because of only being able to be proud of ourselves when we do something well. I mean, that's the opposite of unconditional love. That's conditional love, right? I praise you when I see you doing what I think you should do. Therefore, I offer my love. So we can't change society. We can't change what happened in our past until we look at it in a different lens, but that's for another video. But what we can do, we can be nice to ourselves right now. I've mentioned this before, the Louise Hay exercise of being proud of yourself and saying that you love you as many times a day as you can, just like as a focusing exercise, just to see how it feels. I remember I was doing that exercise and I ended up locking myself out of my house and no one had a spare. So it was going to be find some room on a credit card to get a locksmith to open it up for me. There was no other choice. It was after hours, so we all know those are going to be more expensive. And so it was really hard to say that I love myself in that moment because I had felt like I'd screwed up, right? And it's funny because what energy we bring to something, others often will as well. And I remember just always feeling like when I screwed up when I was young, that I would get the judgmental back from my parents, especially my stepdad. I would just feel like, I remember locking my keys in my car and having to come give me keys and just feeling that weight. But I brought to it also a weight of judgment, right? It wasn't just him at all. It was definitely me as well. And when I realized it in that moment, when I locked my keys in my house and had to get the locksmith and, I'm spending money I don't have and whatever, and all these judgments that came up, and I couldn't say that I love myself, it was a huge wake-up call because we get to love ourselves no matter what if we practice it. But it does take some practice. And what I will tell you is after years of doing this work, and it doesn't take years, but practice does help us, right? As we practice, we ingrain. So my parents were out to visit me. We live in different cities. And I was on a phone call with Amazon about something, customer service about something. We had to get something done so we could order something because I had problems with my accounts or something, or I'd accidentally had two accounts. I'd accidentally had an American one and a Canadian one for whatever reason. And he listened to me talk to the service rep, and we had a great conversation. But when I got off the phone, he said, you didn't let her finish. You did this, you did that. I don't understand, blah, 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 blah. And instead of taking that deep down in my spirit, we were doing other things. We were getting ready for lunch, and I just happened to have a notebook nearby, and I just thought, you know what, that's okay. It's okay that he said those things to me. I can look beyond the judgment and remind myself that I'm a good person, and I know that he's a good person. That's another thing, too, is let the other person off the hook. Feels nicer. So I just, sat with some general statements, some general good-feeling statements. And it really did turn out beautifully because it didn't take very long for him to kind of apologize about what he had said. And it's funny because sometimes what we don't like in ourselves shows up in how we criticize others. And I heard him another time with a customer service rep. And I heard how he spoke to them, and he did some of the same things I did. So I thought, oh, okay, so that was just him, projecting onto me something he doesn't like about himself. And I did think about it too. I'm like, you know what? Like, I had a very calm demeanor because I work in customer service, so I know how to get things done. But I just thought, you know what? Okay, I can be more mindful and let people finish something before I hop in to uplift or to add more detail or to clarify, right? I can let someone finish. I can hold my thought in my head until they finish speaking before I speak. So there was something there for me to learn as well. So be kind to yourself in every moment you can, because Source is never judging us. When we're mean to ourselves, that is a difference of opinion that Source does not hold. Okay? So we know that when we're being mean to ourselves, Source is loving on us anyway. And knowing that in that moment, we're asking for an improvement, right? Anytime we feel negative emotion, we're asking for an improvement. And if it is, asking it is given, and I believe that it is, and if you're watching this, I'm sure you do too, then it's given. And it's just up to us to get out of the way of that. So be nice to yourself. Secondly, let's talk only about what you want. This one can be tough because people sometimes want to know nitty-gritty details. And that's okay. It depends on what stage of life you're at too. I noticed, and I think it's a period of big asking when we're young. Like in my 20s, yes, it was nitty-gritty details because I was really asking in a strong way to improve my relationships, to improve myself, to improve being good at being in the arts, right? Obviously we want to excel, but we can't excel until we've learned, until we've grown, until we've failed, until we've tried and it's not gone so well, because that's us gathering more information. Abraham would call that sorting and sifting, right? That's looking at something and asking if we want more of this or not. So talk only about what you want can be really powerful, because when we're doing that, we are speaking it into existence. When we complain, we get more of what we're complaining about, right? Where our focus goes, energy flows. Where our focus goes, we get more of that thing. Where our focus goes, where our energy goes, attention flows, right? You know what I mean? So when we focus on what we want, we do get more of it. It does take practice. And a couple of things I would suggest is sit down every night and just think about your wins, whatever those could be from whenever, because with our subconscious mind, it doesn't matter past, present, future. Whatever you're thinking about is now for the subconscious mind. So to prime it, go to bed thinking of wins. When a negative thought comes up, that's okay. Acknowledge it, but don't give it any attention, right? Cast it away as if a sin, because it's not the real you. So focusing in that way is super powerful. And so when you talk only about what you want, it's a freeing thing, right? Because it's saying, I'm not beholden to share nitty gritty with you that are past anyway, because anything that is nitty gritty, I'm telling you, it's old news. It is not in your now. It is not your now, right? So yeah, talk only about what you want. Talk only about what you want. And when Abraham is presenting, they'll just say that over and over again. Talk only about what you want. Talk only about what you want. Talk only about what you want. And if you are struggling with something you want that hasn't realized in the 3D, just look at it and stop yourself. Why do I want that? What do I think it would feel like? And then start practicing feeling those things now. Go into your imagination and create it for yourself. Give it to yourself. As people who espouse Neville would say, your imagination is the real place. And I'm one of those people, by the way. Haha. Go into your imagination, the only real place, and give yourself that thing. Consistently give yourself that thing. Make your imagination more important than the external reality. Because it's just, anything you see now is old news from old thought patterns, right? So talk only about what you want. Talk only about what you want. Talk only about what you want. And it's fun that I talked a little bit about Neville leading into our last concept of be a doer. Now just let that sit with you for a moment. Be a doer. Be a doer. Now, It's a little tricky if you haven't read this chapter in The Power of Awareness, but it is not about action. It is about committing to persisting, to dwelling in the end, living in the end, dwelling in the wish fulfilled. It is that. So instead of saying you'll, keep that at the forefront, instead of saying that you'll make your imagination the real place, no, you do it. You persist, and you can. And I think one thing that helped me with that, I know. One thing that helped me with that was my affirmations of I am consistent, I am persistent. Because it takes a little bit to get down deep in the spirit. And Neville would say the same thing, that it happened to him too. We are human, right? We are going to get triggered by the 3D reality sometimes, which isn't a bad thing, because again, then now you get to ask again. And negative emotion is our asking in a stronger way. And without it, we would not be eternal. So we can thank our negative emotion as a guiding light to our eternalness. So since you're going to get it anyway, and if you believe in this stuff, and I'm guessing you do, otherwise you wouldn't be here, then you're going to get it anyway. And instead of going into the future where that thing is, no, give it to yourself now. One of my favorite Bible quotes that Neville talks about is, the kingdom of heaven is within. It is the Father's good pleasure to give it to us. But since we are God attempting to become alive in the body, consciousness become alive in the body, it's up to us to let go of resistance, to give it to ourselves. So that's being a doer. So it is wonderful to have times of day where you touch on this stuff, but start trying to make it part of your whole day, right? Sometimes different things I'll do, have a thankful day. Just thank you for absolutely everything, no matter what. Just thank you. Thank you. And then find things to appreciate. This roof above my head, this food in my larder, this food in my fridge, this food in my cabinets, these plates, literally everything. This ability to wash my own dishes, this ability to do a workout, this ability to walk. These things, instead of taking them for granted, put them on the pedestal of the joys of being alive. The joys of being alive. Those are like your heart beating all the days of your life is abundance. The breath in your lungs is abundance. And it's something that will never desert you, because source is within you, right? The source within will never let you down, because it's always there, and it just knows your eternalness. So you lean into it. You show up, as Abraham would say, it's your inner being. So you connect with your inner being, who is loving everything and everyone and yourself all the time. When you connect with that strong connection, you're powerful. You're more powerful than a million people, because that connection is everything. And it's from which everything begins and grows. And it allows you to have everything you want. And it's not everything you want so that you can say, oh, look at me, and you can get the praise of others for seeing how well you're doing or anything. It's not about that. That will come, but it's not about that. It's about that connection to source, that allowing consciousness of God to come alive in the body, and just being so thankful and appreciative, and that deep, profound connection of source loving on you, and source celebrating every time you feel negative emotion. Source gets over there with the improvement, and you can do it too, because every time you feel that negative emotion, all you need to do is take the 10 seconds and go into the future with the improvement that you want, and feel the satisfying feelings as if that thing were now, and just really stay there for 10 seconds. So it's not just about a morning, evening, or morning, afternoon, evening routine. It's about living that way throughout your day. And it takes practice, but I'm telling you, it is wonderful, because before I discovered any of this work, I was definitely beholden to knee-jerk reactions. I definitely allowed how other people felt about me to decide how I felt about me. Like if I made a mistake at work and I felt the judgment of others, then I judged myself, and probably even harder than they judged me, right? And it's like, if we can rise above that and see that for what it is, a moment of expansion. Negative emotion is guidance, it is expansion, it is information, it is data. If we can take the sting out of it and be, again, like the observer of our feelings, um, like Mr. Singer, Dave Singer, the Untethered Soul. His last name's Singer. It just came to me right now, which is why I'm saying it. I wasn't planning on mentioning it. Yeah, so the Untethered Soul talks about that a lot. You know, be the observer of your feelings. You know, label them, see them, process them gently. You know, love yourself through them. Know that Source is loving you through them, because this is how we ask for more. This is how we ask for the improvements we seek. So it is to be celebrated, and we can take the sting out of it too by, as soon as we recognize it, you're being kind to yourself by recognizing what you're going through. Thank you, emotional guidance system. And now I can take a second and talk about what I want. And of course, I'm tying in the previous two topics, but it's not that easy until you've practiced it, but you can get there. You absolutely can get there, because as you're kind to yourself and you're doing the best for yourself, when you have a moment of negative emotion, you know it's about expansion. You know that Source is celebrating with you and your improvement. And you go ahead and you go into your imagination and you give it to yourself. You give that improvement to yourself. So be a doer. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for having this moment with me and enjoying it. We're going to grow a fantastic community here, and I'm already seeing it as done, right? So we see it as done and we say thank you. So thank you to you. And I think from now on, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to introduce 3 topics, keep them each about 5 minutes. And eventually, when I get good at this stuff, or I learn how to do it, I can, put the signposts at each thing. If you just want one topic, I'm going to learn how to put markers so that you can just jump ahead. So I will eventually get there. It won't be right now, but it will happen, because I can see it as done in my imagination. Then I know how to do that, and it's easy for me. So ease and flow and all of that. And yeah, let's go out there and have a great week. Blessings on your whole week. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me.